The Texans unveiled the plans and the renderings for their new headquarters out in Cyprus on Thursday last week. They did about a half hour. Toro was there, Cal and Hannah, obviously, as well as Mrs. McNair and a whole bunch of other very, very important people, including a bunch of my former teammates and friends. But what did they talk about? I condensed it all down for you so you could get the lay of the land about the important things, some of which we already knew, some of which is kind of new to us. Just to start with the renderings themselves, much better than the AI version that I showed you guys not too long ago. It's going to be big. It's going to be literally really large. It's going to be 1 million square feet of retail and restaurants, 250,000 square feet of regional healthcare and sports medicine, 2 hotels totaling 300 keys. I'm assuming that means 300 rooms. I'm not an industry insider. 300 keys of cocaine would help fund some of this, and 1,300 units of multifamily residential. So if you want to get yourself an apartment up there, or if you're a rookie with the Texans, might be a good spot for it. I succumbed to getting really excited about this, even after fighting it, because after all, look, it's another facility from a football standpoint, from a community standpoint, and then I think from an economic development standpoint. There's a lot to get excited about here, and I think I'll do it into those 3 buckets: Texans, the team itself and how it affects the potential performance of the team, the community, and then the economic development, because that's basically the 3 buckets of things that people talked about here. So I cut up some clips from the rendering or from the ceremony that are relevant, and we can have some talking points about it. But just
thank you for your service and everything you do for the greater Houston community.
I wanted to put this in here because there he is. There's Andre Johnson arriving a little bit late, probably because somebody was talking his ear off. Looks like he's tapping. That looks like that's probably. Is that? Why am I blanking on his name right now? Anyway, I don't want to misidentify somebody. There's Mark. Mark did a great job. Here is Cal and Hannah for the first few introductory comments.
We're thrilled to give you an exclusive look at the Toro District, a new 83-acre mixed-use sports and entertainment destination that will be built right here in Bridgeland. Starting in 2029, this will be the home of the Houston Texans outside of game day. It will reshape the way we engage with fans, youth, partners, and the greater Houston community.
Okay. 3 key points right there. 2029, for those who didn't know, that's a timeline. So I would presume for training camp and everything in 2029. So that gives us 3 training camps at the current facilities, and then in 2029 we'll be up there. The game day, he said on game day, other than game day, as of right now, it looks like the stadium is going to stay there, and they've got some plans for how they can renovate the stadium without the Texans also having to maneuver around in their rented facility there where they are right now. And, Bridgeland. Where is Bridgeland? Funny you should ask. It's out there, man. Here's at 10,900 Peak Road. Is it right there? Okay. It's just west of 99. But to give you the scale of it all, that's where Bridgeland is. It is west, young man. The interesting thing is, look at all the green to the west versus all the development to the east. I mean, it's right in the path of development. But a lot of the comments that they were making about how it's going to be a center for activities out there and everything. It is for that regional area. It also reminds you of just how freaking big Houston is. I did some deep dive research this morning. At the time, in 1776, what would become the 13 original states / at the time they were colonies, there were not even 3 million people in the United States. Harris County right now is 5 million people. It's massive. And it creates a lot of issues, as we all know. They're going to address that in some of these comments here. But here's the second one I've got from Cal and Hannah.
This further emphasizes our goals of bringing a championship to Houston, enhancing the community, and making sports more accessible to the community.
This project reinforces our long-term commitment to Harris County and our focus on driving growth, opportunity for community. As you know, when my parents brought football back to Houston, one of their core pillars was to give back to the community.
Yeah, and I'll tell a quick story about that, about the community part of it, and something that Bob McNair said to the team back in 2002. But the Harris County, obviously, I think the McNairs obviously live in Harris County, and Cal's from, went to Cy-Fair High School and all of that. They genuinely do care about the community, and I know it's easy to be kind of cynical about all of that. In 2002, in the bowels of the Astrodome, where we had our locker room for that first off-season program before the NRG Stadium was even completely finished yet, Reliance Stadium at the time, kids. But we had a meeting with Bob McNair, and he talked to the whole team, and it was really, I would say the bulk of it was him talking about how he had never really planned on owning an NFL team, but after the Oilers left, he realized nobody was doing anything to get an NFL team back in Houston, and he felt it was really important to the community. And the entire time I was involved with the team as a player and everything they've done since I was done being a player, it's a genuine commitment and a certain sense of duty that they feel to it. And a lot of the things you're going to hear them talk about today or in these clips is centered around youth sports, internships, opportunities for kids, bringing the community in for things that are not football related, but also with a core, also re-emphasis over and over again that, hey, this facility is gonna give the Texans a competitive edge. We want to do that's the driving force behind all of it. Last one from Cal and Hannah.
The new headquarters and athletic complex will provide expanded training facilities, create new opportunities for youth programming, community events, and educational partnerships. The students Cal was referring to will gain access to internship career pathways and sports-focused educational initiatives in an extremely unique way.
Yeah, they're doing some really cool things with some of the internships they do, and all aspects of the organization. And I'm just imagining they're going to expand that even further, so kids get experience on the internet side of things, on the sports marketing side of things, football operations, all of that. And then on the actual youth sports, they've got 3 flag football fields. They'll have the potential to have 3 flag football fields indoors. They'll have flag football fields outdoors. Love B is owned by the Texans now, the volleyball team. There's room for 21 or 24 courts at the indoor facility. So for tournaments where Houston's a hotbed of volleyball league, and then a lot of great volleyball players come out of Houston, that's going to be a huge part of it, and I think they'll probably expand into other sports. So that's going to be one thing outside of just simply being a Texans fan that they're going to bring people into for all of this stuff. And the other big thought, before I forget it, that I got really excited about, that I didn't think I'd get excited about it, but I want to be a part of this, is just simply if you look at this one part right here, the NFL draft is definitely going to be held here at some point. This is everything they look for when they want to host the draft. You've got this massive field house where you can hold over 14,000 people, and all the retail, the restaurants, the hotels, and everything. So we've got that to look forward to sometime around 2029 or so, I would imagine. I don't think the Texans, or I don't think the NFL would miss that opportunity. Hopefully you guys could hear me there. Where'd I go? How do I get rid of this? There we go. Okay. Let's see. Houston will soon be 2 hours away from Houston. What is it right now? It's 90 minutes away from Houston. It's out there, man. It's way out there. Next clip. This is from the CEO of Howard Hughes, the development company.
And please welcome to the podium now the CEO of Howard Hughes Holdings, David O'Reilly. David.
Over the next 15 years, this district is projected to generate $34 billion, with a B, billion dollars in economic impact. At Howard Hughes, we believe that communities are built over decades, not development cycles.
Yeah, so Howard Hughes, which developed the Woodlands, they've got a pretty good track record of this, as well as other master plan communities. I think when they talk about taking the long-term approach and developing an entire community, I trust that. I know it's hard you never want to say you trust big business of any variety, but if big business is going to be done, you like people who have done big business the right way. The other part of it too is everything that everybody talked about at this press conference, if you had any nervousness or hesitation about the fact that Harris County is committing $150 million to this project, this is a lot different, at least in my mind, of when a team just opens the floodgates of public funding for a stadium, which seems to benefit the team more than anybody else. It's $150 million for infrastructure for a gigantic project. 22 acres are going to the Texans. The other 60-plus acres are going to all of that retail, hotel, business, commercial, an actual town, Harris County administration buildings and services. That makes financial sense. $150 million for roads and everything else that goes into it. They probably want sewage, all of those highfalutin things. One more, I think, from David O'Reilly.
Northwest Harris County is one of the fastest growing corridors in Texas and fastest growing areas in the country. Growth is coming. The question is whether we shape it or we let it shape us.
I do appreciate the ominous tone he took when he said growth is coming. It felt a little bit like winter is coming. But getting out in front of the growth is another theme that a lot of people touched on in this. It's that, look, the growth, if you lived, I got here in 2002, and I feel like an old timer because I can talk about the times where, well, back then you could drive out to Katy and you could still see cows out in the fields. I went to Pearland. Pearland was just a couple of small communities. It's going to grow, so you want to get out ahead of the growth. That all makes sense, and this is hopefully a more organized way of doing it instead of just hodgepodge of slapping down things here and there. We know what a mess that creates. Leslie Briones, who is a county official of some sort. Vandermeer will tell you.
Yes, indeed. Okay, joining us now, please welcome Harris County Commissioner Precinct 4, Leslie Briones.
Harris County is one of the fastest growing areas of the country. Harris County generally will grow 40% over the next 25 years. But in this area, it's expected to grow by over 300%. This is the future center of gravity for Harris County. This district alone will create over 17,000 jobs. This is a win for creating jobs, and those jobs with public funds, they will meet our Harris County minimum wage policy. For the contractor of $21.65 an hour, they will comply with our worksite safety policy so that one job here in Harris County is enough and that you can go home safely to your families.
Yeah, so I didn't know it was at $21.65 minimum wage. I don't know what the standard is right now or what the contractor part of that was. But the fact of the matter is also just when you have a development like this, you're going to have not just jobs created, but a whole lot of other just high dollar jobs created, which tends to create more jobs. And that's, I know when we start talking about government projections for projected growth, I never try to pay too much attention to the actual dollar amount because that's where spin can come in. But it all makes perfect sense in terms of generalities of economic development. This all makes sense, and it should create some opportunities. Again, to go back to that image of where we're talking about out there on Peak Road, I mean, it's just there's a whole lot of green there to the west. Now, that's not Harris County to the west. Harris County isn't afraid to incorporate, though, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Next one, I think there's another one from Briones here. There we go.
This is a win for our students. The internships, the apprenticeships, the speaker series for the community colleges, access to the sports fields, Friday night lights, access for graduations.
Yeah, there's one thing about the Texans. So getting back to the team side of things, and the way they have to operate now, I always feel hesitant to frame this as a complaint or anything because, hey, you're working in the NFL, you're playing in the NFL, it's all awesome. When you're talking about competing with other teams who maybe have better setups, there are a lot of things about the way the Texans have to operate now where they're in a leased, they're in, I don't want to say temporary, they're in leased quarters with minimal with minimal office space and also minimal space for the performance centers and everything else like that, that it's not on par with what some of the other teams are doing. And then when you do have high school graduations or you've got high school football games, the Texans don't necessarily have a whole lot of control over all of that and scheduling it, where now I think they can kind of take control, and they still want to be part of high school graduations. They still want to be part of perhaps high school football events or games, whatever they end up doing in the field house there, but they can control it in such a way that it doesn't screw up all of their operations. And then as far as the front office itself, I mean, right now they don't have enough office space where they are to actually have everybody on the same site. They're kind of spread out in different office buildings. So that part of it is just more streamlined. Hopefully should give them some kind of a competitive advantage. One more from Leslie Briones.
This is also a win for good government. For all of you who have spent hours in your car going downtown to get a marriage license, transfer vehicle titles, to pay taxes, well, guess what? Part of this amazing deal, Harris County will be bringing government services right here into the heart of Northwest Harris County with a services hub, community center, and various government services from law enforcement.
So, and for law enforcement, et cetera, et cetera. I just have my next marriage license. I'll go and get there. My wife's in the other room. That's appealing, obviously, and everything she spoke about, Houston being 2 hours from Houston, Harris County itself being 2 hours from other parts of Harris County. Hopefully that comes to fruition, and that's something that's actually does make things more convenient. Here's Tom Ramsey, who's my favorite part of the presentation, because this one felt the most like, yeah, this feels like Texas.
Now, won't you please welcome Harris County Commissioner from Precinct 3, Tom Ramsey.
Harris County is the third largest county in America. We deserve the very best. I grew up in East Texas, and we need something that I would call bodacious. And this is the first step in what I would think bodacious should look like.
Hell yeah.
So anybody that wants to half-baked duct tape and baling wire, I'm not interested. What we need to do is something that makes a statement and gets out here and sets a tone. I think that sends a message to our football players. I think that sends a message to the future volleyball players that we're going to be having out here as well.
I give him credit for the use of the word bodacious. I give him credit for talking about something strung together with baling wire, because every time I use that phrase, I have to explain to Sean Pendergast exactly what it means to just take some baling wire and try to, should we spend 3 hours actually fixing this? No. We just get some baling wire, twist it around, and we're good to go. Especially from the 100-pound bales. And what was the other thing? It felt very Texas high school football about, it sends a message to the players. It sends a message to the volleyball players. That's why we're building this stadium in Katy for the high school football team, because it sends a message to the players. A lot of other states that wouldn't necessarily resonate quite as much. I got into that. I'm getting into Tom Ramsey here.
A lot of times, TxDOT has to go build.
And I don't know what his political affiliation is or anything. This is purely pep rally based.
The freeway after the people move there. Well, we're trying to get ahead of the curve just a bit. We're trying to get the facilities built just ahead of when they're coming.
Yeah, and you know what? When he was talking about that, and we talked about this earlier, getting ahead of the development. There's a guy, I read this long article about Robert Moses, who is kind of the guy that was the city planner for New York City. And it was back in the day when you could kind of blackmail, bribe, and bully your way into community development. Like he would just destroy entire neighborhoods so they could put a straight highway through something. Can't get away with that anymore. So like doing it after the fact. So you've got to get out ahead of it, and because we've all lived through some of this stuff, when you can just tell that this is a mud taxes and all these things that make things, once development has gone to a certain point, you just can't go back in time and get it right. So they're trying to get it right the first time. It does feel, as far as Retired Row says, the presentation sounds great, not only for the city, the Texans, and the fans, but also I don't want to be a schmuck here and paint a rosy picture of how good government and business can work together and everything. It feels like they're doing a pretty good job of it in the initial stages of, all right, what are the needs of the community? What are the needs of the capitalists? What are the needs of the football team? And trying to work together. So far, we'll see. We'll see timing and budget overruns and everything. Like, so far, so good. It feels like everybody's operating in good faith, and the ultimate goals of all these entities involved seem to align. Here is Vandermeer introducing Mike Toman, the vice president of the team.
And now, with more on this amazing project, the president of the Houston Texans, Mike Toman.
Now, on a practical level, we've been looking for that competitive advantage, the competitive advantage for our football team. And for us, as Houston Texans, to all be together in one space.
Yeah, and I already touched on that a little bit. He expands on that.
So this headquarters will showcase state-of-the-art training room, weight room, recovery room, performance center, health and wellness, nutrition, meeting space, coaches' offices. So our players can get through their day without friction, focused in on the goal.
Yeah, and this on the pure football side of things, when he talks about as little friction as possible in the day, so much of sports now, I mean, life in general, everybody's trying to make everything as efficient as possible. But with football, and athletes specifically, you want to try to get the stuff that's really important done, and guys can focus as much as possible on the film work, then get to the training room, then get out to practice and do all of that. And when you're just reducing 5 or 10 minutes, walking over across the bridge to the practice facilities and back, when guys get injured, trainers are going back and forth. It adds up. It adds up a lot to a degree that, again, I don't want to make it sound like people are complaining about, oh, woe is me, we have it so awful. But when you're trying to just extract the most possible out of all the minutes in a day, but also get guys their proper rest, get them home and everything, to you're not just wasting time, this can be a lot more efficient. So just from the pure football performance side of things, I trust that D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio are going to do the absolute most with this. And it's the NFL. 3 years is a long way down the road. I am bullishly presuming that those two guys will still be a part of the organization by then. But it is the NFL, and stuff happens. So whoever's in there up next, Jack Easterby. Easterby would have gone. Okay, no, I'm not going down that road. Okay, let's see. One more from Mike Toman.
There will also be 3 outdoor NFL-sized football fields. We'll have multiple flag football fields outside as well. This campus will also be anchored by our field house, which will host our indoor practice facility, our indoor football field. It'll be 150,000 square feet. Now, this field house can also support 3 indoor flag football fields and up to 21 volleyball courts. It has a capacity up to 16,000 people. So we can host a multiple different type of events.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the Texans being a part of the community, and to get back to the sheer massiveness of the city of Houston, but then just the greater Houston area, it's hard, it's hard to sometimes feel a sense of community, and with a football team especially, it's hard to get to all these far-flung areas with your community outreaches and everything. I do think in a lot of ways, and again, without just sounding a little naive or just like overly idealistic about it, this creates a way for the Texans to bring the community to them, especially when you start think about volleyball and flag football. Those are things that are growing rapidly. The participation is growing rapidly, and by becoming perhaps an epicenter for those activities, you're bringing a lot of people to that area. Kids, when they're having their tournaments, when they're doing all of those things, and they're doing it in an area where they're going to have places to go to eat, just green spaces, all of that. There's a lot of space to move, and hopefully parking is a lot easier and simpler than it is right now. So a lot to feel good about. I'm excited about it from a sheer football perspective. I think this is staying ahead of the curve when, I don't know if you guys saw the Tyrann Mathieu clip earlier of how he was talking about how, man, the facilities at colleges tend to be way better than the facilities at NFL teams these days, and which I, as an old timer, I get a little rankled because I'm like, just focus on football. What are you whining about? Fine. What do you need? Fancy facilities and everything, but you are competing with 31 other teams. They're competing for free agents. They're competing to just create a good environment in their facilities. So as of right now, at the onset of all of this, when everybody's expectations are high and we foresee no obstacles in the road or anything, I predict zero hiccups with any of this. But I will be watching some prospects at some point later today or tomorrow. Might do some of that on the members only stream. So if that pops up and you're interested, probably more slow paced and just getting to know some of these prospects, especially on the offensive line and running back. Thanks everybody. Like, subscribe, etc.